It's almost been a full year since Huawei launched the Mate 20X, and it's fair to say that a lot has changed since then. The smartphone market has grown exponentially, Samsung's wildly popular S10 has launched, and Huawei has had its controversies with the USA. So, 12 months down the line, is the Huawei Mate 20X still worth your money? Hey guys, my name is Ryan Thomas, and today we're going to find out. If I had to sum up the Mate 20X in one phrase, absolute unit comes to mind. Other examples of absolute units include the Empire State Building, Jeff Bezos' bank balance, Big Rammy, and a family-sized box of Cheerios. This thing is absolutely huge. I personally daily an S10e, and that makes the Mate 20X look like a bit of a computer monitor in the hand. But considering the size of the thing, Huawei did a pretty good job at keeping it handleable if you've got two hands. Or three. The slick curved glass back with its funky texture to it, the comfortable side rails and satisfying rear placed fingerprint reader all add up to a well-made phone that feels like a well-made phone. In fact, in some respects, this feels like the better version of the Mate 20 Pro. The dewdrop notch on the X looks far cleaner than the chonky boy on the Pro, even if we miss out on those extra face unlock sensors. And we get a headphone port, something that is missing on the Pro and something that a lot of people still value. And just to reiterate, I much prefer a rear-placed physical fingerprint reader to one found in the display. Mentioning the display there, the 7.2 inch display, yes that's 7.2 inches, is a great panel, even at 346 pixels per inch. It's a Full HD Plus OLED panel, and I'm glad that it's not Quad HD Plus, because even at 7.2 inches it allows for much better battery life and performance to a point where this thing lasts forever on a charge. The panel isn't bad either, it gets super bright, fairly dim and everything in between. I've been using this thing to play a lot of Minecraft recently, and playing on such a large screen while still being able to pocket the thing is awesome, although pocketable is a bit of a stretch, or at least it was for my trouser pockets. In fact, this screen is much larger than the one found on the Nintendo Switch, which is the device that Katie has been using to play Minecraft with me, and even though it's larger, it's still more pocketable than the Nintendo Switch. Colour reproduction accuracy, responsiveness and usability is far better on this than on the Switch 2, and I don't mind that EMUI cuts off the sides of the notch either. It works super well in Minecraft, and that's pretty much all I need it to do. EMUI is an area of Huawei phones that is routinely hated by everyone in the industry and all of the public, and it's fairly easy to see why. There are a lot of bloat applications, there are a lot of extras that you might necessarily not be asking for, and they can be pretty hard to get rid of, and Huawei has locked down the phone to a point where it's very difficult to get custom software on the phone. But it just so happens that EMUI 9, based on Android 9.0, is something I really like. And even though I have changed the launcher to Nova and added the Borealis icon pack as well as some backgrounds from Resplash or Unsplash, I still like the way the EMUI looks. And yes, I did change the launcher, but apart from that, I think the EMUI has some really useful tools in it. One of which being, and I'm going to say this in every video I make about this, the best camera app on any smartphone. Ah yes, the camera. The one part of the Mate 20 Pro that made it my favourite phone of all time. Well, the same camera system is back here, and it's just as good. We get a main, telephoto and wide-angle camera system along with a 24 megapixel selfie camera, and the results are just plainly awesome. I love the way that photos from this thing look, and I feel like this is the peak camera. I prefer the results to Samsung's, LG's and even Pixel's. I don't know if it's the aggressive processing or maybe just the fact that we have three optically different cameras to play with, but Huawei's photos are my favourite. Sorry Pixel lovers. This camera just makes me want to go out and take photos, and that's a pretty tall order for someone like me with social anxiety. Good job Huawei. Video recording could be better. Yes, I know this, you know this, everyone knows this, and the lack of full-fat 60fps UHD 4K video might turn some off, but there are a good few modes, including some good slow motion ones, and I happen to think the results look pretty good. You know what else is pretty good? the performance, and the Kirin 980 along with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM is more than enough for everyday tasks. In fact, even though it's got a slightly weaker GPU than the Snapdragon counterparts, I don't mind it. I think it works really well, especially for multitasking since we get lots of cores and lots of RAM. And lots of storage it happens to turn out, because the minimum storage configuration is 128 gigabytes. And that means for me that I don't really care that it doesn't have any kind of microSD expansion, it has its own proprietary medium. I don't mind that because I'm never really going to use up 128 gigabytes anyway. Performance in everyday tasks such as social media, multitasking like I said before, and taking lots of photos and videos, well, the Mate 20X just takes that in its stride. It's basically a Mate 20 Pro from that regard, and considering you get a lower resolution screen, games should run better because they're running at a lower resolution as well. And the battery life? Well, that's something else. The 5000 mAh battery in here, combined with the lowish resolution display and aggressive task management tools baked into EMUI, make this a 2 or even 3 day phone for a lot of people. It's been awesome for me. I've basically never had to charge the phone. Or, well, yes I have, but only every 2 or 3 days as opposed to the 1 day that I have to do with my S10e. And that's fantastic because it's not something that I'm worrying about when using the phone. And that's kind of what I like to see on smartphones. Sure, we don't get any kind of wireless charging, and that's going to be a turn off for some, but Huawei Supercharge is lightning quick, and okay, it might not be as quick as if the battery was smaller, because again, it is a 5000 mAh cell, but it's definitely quick enough, and I feel like just a small charge is going to last you a long time anyway. You might not be seeing really high percentages, but with a 5000 mAh battery, that doesn't really matter because there's just so much battery to go around. There is of course a 5G version of this phone, which can be found for a much higher price. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend that one because I've never used it, but this one is certainly a good buy. And that leads me fairly swiftly onto my conclusion. This is a good buy, this is a great buy, and I think I'm going to recommend this to anyone who wants a big phone. 7.2 inches is massive. It's what we would call a tablet sized screen just a couple of years ago, and now we've got phones that are that big. I personally don't think I'd carry around a phone that big, but that doesn't make this a bad phone. I carry around an S10e, which is smaller than the average smartphone, and that's because I really like compact smartphones. And if you haven't noticed that by my channel by now, then you need to go and watch some more of my videos. And my family and friends just thought it was a tablet because, I mean, they've got every right to. Like I said, it's kind of what we would consider a tablet-sized smartphone. But I don't think that's a bad thing at all because they never said that that was way too big or it was too bad. In my opinion, it is too big. But for a lot of people, it's going to be just the right size. Remember, the bezels are smaller, it's much more one-handable than a tablet, and it's fairly pocketable for those of you with big pockets anyway. For around £400, I can pretty happily recommend it to people in the UK because you get one of the best, if not the best camera systems in the world, in my opinion. You get a brilliant screen, phenomenal battery life, good performance. I mean, everything just adds up on this phone. And okay, in the US you might have some problems because I don't know, I don't get into political systems, but here in the UK or in Europe or in parts of Asia, I think it's a fantastic buy. Anyway, with that, it's time for me to go. I've really enjoyed reviewing this phone, so if you could leave comments or any kind of thoughts in the comments, then that would really help me out. Please do like, dislike, comment, and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. And also check out my super social media links in the video description as always. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for your amazing continued support, even though now I'm only uploading once a week. Your support really does show, so thank you so much for that. And yeah, that's been about it from me. Thanks for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.